good, Redcon fam? It is your boy Trey,
It's your boy Jay.
and we cannot forget Doc, who we forgot to shout out last week. But shout to Doc. Yeah. So today we're going to review episode 9 and 10 of your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Uh,
Yeah.
what'd you think?
So uh 9 and 10 were good. 9, I don't know. I kind of was because with 9, I think what threw me off with episode 9, because it was about Scorpion getting his comeuppance. We see Peter in the classic iconic Spider-Man costume, and he and Tombstone are teaming up against him. And then we get a scene that mirrors No Way Home, Spider-Man No Way Home, where in No Way Home we had Peter ready to impale the Goblin with his own glider, and then Tobey Maguire Spider-Man stopped and kept him from doing that. As opposed to here in this episode, Peter was ready to deliver those deadly hands to Scorpion, and he had to be, I guess, he had to be shaken out of that by Tombstone, right? I don't know if I like that it was Tombstone. I mean, I don't know, because to me, there's like he has that type of friendship with Peter, but he don't know Spider-Man like that, and I didn't really like that type of mirroring of the sacred timeline versus this timeline is concerned. But that's just me really nitpicking, but overall, it didn't hurt the episode. It was good, and then we saw the ramifications of Osborn's motto: "With great power comes great respect," playing on a loop in Peter's mind as he was dealing those blows to Scorpion. And so, yeah, it didn't take away from anything. That's just my one nitpick. So, with 9 and 10 with the overall series, I had it at a 10, starting off, but now that it's all done, I got it at a 9.5.
9.5.
Yeah.
So yeah, because 9 wasn't my favorite episode, but the bar was set so high that it was still a really good episode. It wasn't anything wrong with that. What were some of the things that stood out to you?
So with episode 9, what stood out was of course, Tombstone. His origins finally come to fruition. He was in the truck, and that canister busted open, and then that's what gave him his super strength. He's almost near invulnerable, but not really up there. Like when you think of invulnerability, you think of characters like Superman, and you think of like the Hulk. But he's definitely a heavy hitter, and we see that as they took on the Scorpion. We also saw some. Of course, it was a good segue to episode 10. And what stood out in episode 10, of course, I mean, multiple things. Like it's such a list to really cite off. So if those of you out there, I made a foolish bet thinking that this wasn't Venom. It was at the beginning of the series, because I was like, that's too easy. But it ended up being the symbiote, right? Yeah. So, I'm gonna chalk that up, and I will take that, humbly. But we saw that the portal opened, and the symbiotes came into play. Doctor Strange popped back in. The biggest thing that stood out was the origin story of Spider-Man, as we saw how it happened. So it was Norman Osborn, him experimenting with Peter's blood and the spiders, and then Doctor Strange coming in, and then the symbiote messing with his time stone, which we know is the time stone. It put them, I want to say, was it maybe months in the past, where we see in the first episode where they're tangling, and then we see the spider coming out of there, and then that's how we get Peter's origin story. I thought that was very unique. I'd never seen that before. But the ties in the Ultimate Universe, the Earth 1610 with Ultimate Spider-Man, where Oscorp is responsible for the genetically modified spiders, so that really pans out, so that was good. And then the other thing that stood out, of course, were the multitude of teasers, the Easter eggs, giving us a good preamble of what the next few seasons are going to be. We see that Daredevil, he had, so that girl was a sidekick called Finesse, and her first time in the comic books is Avengers Academy. And she's literally, in the comic books, they kind of play it to where she may be the daughter of Taskmaster. So I don't know how true those roots are going to show as far as your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. But we'll definitely see how that plays out. I thought that was good. in the comic books, Daredevil did play with the idea of having a sidekick, but that person was called Blind Spot. So, but I guess for a story's sake, they got Finesse in there, so that's fine. And then of course, Harry is now doing his own thing, which is Web. And there was a comic book recently that was launched based on Web of Spider-Man, literally. And of course, they have that Disney attraction, Web, I think, something like that to that degree. So that was good. And then, the piece of the symbiote, after they closed the portal, were left out to in the lab. So we know, of course, the symbiote suit on Peter is coming. And then the biggest thing next to Peter's origin switch up was we saw Norman's roots start to show, because the whole thing that he had the interns doing was all about trying to, obtain more power. And then, they all fell slighted, except for Amadeus. He brushed it off like, so got to watch out for. So those are the things that stood out to me. Yeah. And of course, Doc Ock, he ain't playing with the, sketching the tentacles. Yeah, that's coming.
So Finesse is from the comics.
Yes.
So what is kind of her backstory?
So from my understanding, a rough summarization of the backstory is she was abandoned by her parents and then raised by foster parents. And what happened is her and a group of other young metahumans got folded into Norman Osborn's side project, where he looked at them as almost like the next Dark Avengers generation, right? Because during the Dark Reign, he had his own set of Avengers, for example, Bullseye dressed up as Hawkeye, Venom dressed up as Spider-Man, and so on and so forth. And these kids were going to be the next generation of his version of Avengers. And so what happened is when Norman Osborn fell and then the heroes got back into power, Avengers Academy was started up to watch over them, to make sure they don't go down the villainous path. But them kids didn't know nothing about that. They just thought, they were special, and that's why they got chosen. So once they found out what the real reason was why they were brought into this academy, things blew up. But Finesse is part of that. And they found out that she may be related, or may be the daughter of Taskmaster. She can pretty much do exactly what Taskmaster can do. Like he has photographic memory where he can memorize any fighting styles, and he can replicate them down to the T. She does the same thing. So I'm interested to see if that's how it's going to play out for your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, especially with her teaming up with Daredevil.
Yeah. Well, did you get an opportunity to kind of watch? Because they did like a teaser for season 2, wasn't it? Or like a not a teaser. Not a teaser. Let me see. Yeah, they kind of they did a first look.
So okay, no, I've not seen the first look.
Yeah,
okay.
So they kind of did a first look of, as a matter of fact.
Oh man.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull it up.
On over all that stuff they put in the end of the season. They, I think Harry had like a board with names on it that he wanted to send the invites to. And there was some names that popped up, such as Ned Leeds, right?
Yeah.
And of course, Ned has definitely strong ties to the Spider-Man mythos. He was married to Betty Brant. He was framed as the Hobgoblin. Oh, okay. Wow. So we are Spider-Gwen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, well, then we got to get Miles. We got to get Miles. Maybe that's because as we know, and when we were watching the first episode, when the spider finished after it bit Peter, it went to someone's backpack, and that backpack got picked up. That might be it. Okay.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. We know the symbiote is there.
Yes.
I'm gonna tell you, one of the things I really liked about this series, or this, is that we really spent an entire season and didn't really get into anything. Like, we really didn't see. We saw obviously Scorpion, and we saw, there's the origin of Tombstone, and we don't quite know what's going on with Norman in terms of his turn to the Green Goblin. They there was a second time we saw the glider.
Yep.
Saw that again. So we know that, like, we haven't gotten into the meat of anything yet.
Which is crazy, because this felt so jam-packed with so many things. And it really, like you said, it really does feel like it's literally the beginning. Like, he's now becoming the Spider-Man. It's been more like a training course and heroics for him in an adjustment period of how to balance it all out. We haven't seen the Parker luck come into play where he seems to always miss deadlines or he misses dates because of Billy as Peter. We saw that it came close with the science project with that he girl, and then the other girl, she came in the clutch, was able to explain all of that. But I believe there's going to be a decline in that part of Spider-Man's life coming up in the next season, because it's only going to be a balancing act, and there's only so much that he can do, right? He's going to miss out as much as Nico and Harry will try to cover for him. And then we saw Nico has like a little bit of her origin playing out as well, as far as her ties to the Runaways. So that should be interesting.
Yeah, we also got the teaser about Pete's dad.
Man, wow. Like, talk about mind-blowing moment. And I discovered that the voice of Peter's dad is the original actor of the Spider-Man animated series back in the 90s. So kudos to Marvel, Disney, for keeping it in the Spider family.
Yeah. So kind of help me with this. So what's the deal with Peter's parents in the actual comic book continuity?
So with Peter's parents, they were officially government agents. Mm-hmm. But what happened is something happened on a mission, and they were framed as traitors to the country. And so if you know, as far as the animated show, Peter spent time trying to clear their names with S.H.I.E.L.D., and it became a whole thing. Whereas in the comic books, they got their names cleared, and then there was an attempt to, if I'm not mistaken, by Chameleon, where the parents that came back in the 90s in the comic books, and Peter just thought, okay, they're alive, they're good, but they end up being humanoid robots, which was the Chameleon behind that. Ironically, though, Harry Osborn was behind that because he wanted to torment Peter, for always like, okay, you always had my dad's love more than me, yada, yada, yada. You took Mary Jane, she was my girl, yada, yada, so it was always personal. So Harry, he was very vindictive, in that aspect. But yeah, that's the thing with Peter's parents. They were always government agents, and then there was always some type of frame job on them. I like that the Amazing Spider-Man movies, they delved into that because that was pretty much the same thing, kind of what they were going through. Like, they discovered something, they were trying to tell that, and then they became targets. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what are you looking forward to, or what are some of your predictions for season 2?
I predict that this is gonna be an offshoot prediction, because we didn't really see more than what we saw in those past episodes of your boy Dimitri the Chameleon. I believe he's gonna show up, probably wreak some havoc. I believe, to call out what you said, probably a Sinister Six type of culmination happening. We already got Doc, Chameleon. We might see Rhino. That's just to throw it out there. We definitely will see Tombstone. As you can tell, end of the season, as he was riding on 10th gang, his fingertips was on white. I'm surprised nobody said nothing. Like, y'all don't see his skin getting a little bleached, like,
get that checked.
I know. They're like, no, let's roll. So, we'll see more of that. Obviously, he's definitely getting into the role, which is heartbreaking considering where he started. And what I liked in the episode too, as well, during the intercom, the coach is like, "Well, we lost this season. We'll be holding out tryouts." I'm like, "Yeah, because if you had Lonnie, he would have bagged that for you." So that really hurt. And Peter getting full flesh into his Spider-Man role, I definitely predict more Marvel characters as far as outside the Spider-Man mythos. We had Iron Man, Doctor Strange, we had Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross. I can see some more pop up. We had Daredevil. I like to see Cap actually in there. With they still holding true to the Sokovia Accord thing, I would like to see how that would play off of Spider-Man, because in the comic books, Spider-Man, like, he desperately looks up to Cap so many ways, like, and that's kind of like his role model. Honestly, it was his Uncle Ben's role model too. So I want that definitely, and then of course the Venom suit. We'll see how that plays on Peter, and then because it's coming. Osborn's going to fool around with it, and
it's coming.
it seems like Marvel has been getting comfortable with making Harry Venom. You know, they had the Spider-Man show that made him Venom first, and then of course Spider-Man 2 PC. Well, it's on PC now, but PlayStation 5 game, Harry was Venom. So it seems like with Venom here, there's no Eddie Brock anywhere or Flash Thompson. We could see Harry becoming Venom, which will play good as well as far as them knowing each other's identities and everything. So yeah, that's what I'm predicting. So hopefully my predictions are 80% right. You know, because I definitely messed up with Shathra, thinking there was going to be Shathra, but it ended up being Venom. So, you know.
I mean, they did a really good job of kind of laying some Easter eggs for sure. And really setting up relationships, right? Like Peter and Pearl are getting closer now. How does that affect the relationship with Lonnie in terms of Peter and himself? What does that do? How does that manifest itself in the relationship between Spider-Man and Tombstone? Because I would imagine starting out in season 2, they're gonna be friends, Spider-Man and Tombstone.
Okay.
And they fought together. They fought side by side together.
Yeah, but I think it's going to be a conflict that's going to happen at some point where on opposite sides of it, and it's just going to come to a head. So I think,
well, I mean, Tombstone is a gang leader.
Right.
So,
a gang leader, but a gang leader nonetheless.
Right? And if he is anything like he is in the comic books, because so in the comic books, how close was the origin in Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man for Tombstone to the comic books for Tombstone?
Yeah, it played pretty good. I mean, it was the canister that he was exposed to that pretty much made him who he was. Of course, he was an adult that got exposed to it, and he ran with Robbie Robertson, who of course everybody knows is from the Daily Bugle. And you know, his hair, I've never seen him in braids, you know, so that's new. You know, it's always been like
flat top, though. Did Tombstone have a flat top?
Right, he did. And then his teeth were sharpened on purpose, you know, so he can look gangster. But yeah, I mean, so they kind of got it similar and they got it kind of different, you know, which is expected, you know, because this, I think it's good for those who are creating the show that they're not really restrained, you know, by having to stay that true to the form of comics, because it kind of hurts exploration when it comes to a show. So, you know, to me, as long as you got the foundation, everything else is up for grabs. I'm good. So yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. I thought it was an excellent series. It went by so fast just because of how they released the episodes.
Yes,
so I wish there was something next week, to be honest with you, because it was really it's just a good show.
Right. And well, at least we got Daredevil coming up in March. So.
Oh yeah, we do. And I wonder how. I mean, obviously, this isn't the sacred timeline, but I wonder how these things are going to play into the overall MCU, if at all.
Right.
They got some big changes coming in the MCU.
Huge. We'll definitely see, right?
Yeah. And it's all multiversal at this point. We know Fantastic Four is going to delve into that multiverse stuff a little bit, if not a lot of it, and set up, you know, what's coming with Doomsday, and then obviously Secret Wars after that. So, but yeah, I mean, as far as Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, I think you and I agree it is officially retcon approved.
Boom.
If you have not watched this series, please do. It is a really, really good series. It's a fun watch. The episodes don't seem too long. I think they're between 22 to 30 minutes each episode. And they have released them in a way that you can kind of, you know, I guess it doesn't matter now, but you can really get through it, and it's a really good watch. But we're looking forward to season 2, and we're looking forward to see what happens with Marvel in the future with the MCU and how this plays into it. If you have not, please like, comment, and subscribe. In the comments, tell us what you think. Do you like the show? What do you think about some of the changes they made for the timeline in terms of villains and backstories and those things? And what are you looking forward to in season 2? And, you know, it was a good one. It was a good one. Yeah. So for Josh and for Doc, I am Trey. This is Retcon Comics. God bless.